Hello. Today I will be presenting New York Citibike's strategy dashboard. This dashboard will help with the distribution problems New York Citibike currently faces. Citibike is New York's bike sharing service and has been increasing in popularity since its inception in 2013. Demand for bikes has especially risen after the COVID-19 pandemic and has led to distribution issues. Customers are finding some stations to be sparse, preventing them from renting bikes, and other stations to be full, preventing them from returning bikes. This analysis aims to determine where and why issues arise. The dashboard is separated into 5 sections: weather and bike usage, most popular stations, an interactive map with the most popular trips, weather and bike type, and recommendations. So how does weather affect bike usage? From this graph, we can tell that there is a clear correlation between temperature and daily bike rides. As temperature increases, so does the number of daily bike rides. And when the temperature decreases, the number of daily bike rides decreases as well. This suggests that shortage issues probably occur primarily during warmer months, namely April through November. So where are people biking from? Here's a bar graph showing the top start stations. It is clear that some stations are utilized more than others. The top 3 stations are West Street and Chambers Street, West 21st and 6th Avenue, and Broadway and West 58th Street. The number of rides originating from these stations is a steep increase from the number of rides originating from the rightmost stations. This suggests a strong preference for the aforementioned stations. What routes are people traveling? Here is a map showing the top 100 trips taken by Citibikers. By using the filter on the left-hand side of the map, we can check whether the most popular start stations also appear in the most popular trips. Recall that the most popular start stations are West Street and Chambers Street, West 21st Street and 6th Avenue, and Broadway and West 58th Street. So let's add a filter here. Increase the amount of trips to, okay. And if we zoom in, here we see West Street and Chambers Street. We see 21st Street and 6th Avenue. However, 58th and Broadway, which is around here, does not appear, meaning that while it is a popular start station, it does not account for one of the most popular trips. If we increase this even more, we can actually see what the top 3 trips taken are. And they are, just make sure there's 3, they are between Central Park South and 7th Avenue, Central Park South and 6th Avenue, and the Roosevelt Island Tramway. So what types of bikes are people riding? Citibikers have a choice of 2 bike types, classic and electric. This chart shows that overall, classic bikes are used more frequently than electric bikes. Both types of bikes are ridden more in warmer temperatures, peaking at between 20 to 25 degrees, though the peak in classic bikes is much higher than the peak in electric bikes. For classic bikes, there is a steep increase at 10 degrees, while for electric bikes, that increase is a lot more gradual. This indicates a strong preference for warmer temperatures in classic bike riders. Electric bike rides are more evenly distributed across temperatures. So conclusions and recommendations. Our analysis has shown that Citibike should focus on the following objectives. Add more stations around Central Park South and at the Roosevelt Island Tramway, as these are where the most common trips take place. Ensure that bikes are well stocked at the most popular stations during the warmer months, but decrease the supply during colder months. And lastly, when adding more bikes for warmer temperatures, add primarily classic bikes as they are more popular. And now I'd like to address some questions. Let's go back to weather and bike usage. Okay, so from here it is clear that from November to April, the number of daily bike rides decreases, suggesting that we should scale bikes back during that time period. But how much scaling back is recommended? Citibikes should scale back about 30 to 40% in the winter. This is because there is a 30 to 40% decrease in the number of bike rides from September, when the number of bike rides peaks, to November, when the number of bike rides really begins to drop. Let's go back to most popular bike trips. Okay. When looking at the map of the top 100 most popular trips, we can see that a good portion of the trips are along the water. It would then make sense to add more stations along the water. But how do we determine how many more stations to add? Let's take a closer look at these stations. So to determine how many more stations to add, we can look at how well distributed the existing stations are and determine where there are gaps in the distribution. These gaps represent where along the water we should add more stations. For example, here, here, maybe here, and here. We can also see where there are attractions along the water where no stations exists, and build some stations there. As discussed earlier, there are some stations that are more popular than others and should therefore always be stocked with bikes. How do we ensure this is the case? Well, one way is to have trackers that record how many bikes are at these stations at any given time. This way, we can monitor the supply of bikes and replenish accordingly. It gives us a way to more precisely predict and therefore prevent shortages. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.